My parents, I think, thought I'd become a politician, but I chose the make-believe of the theater. This first scene, I think, is more available than we think. This entry thing doesn't happen all the time to him, but it's a major deal, and he's going like this. Today we're beginning our second week of rehearsal for Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. This is some problem. One of the things that's interesting about doing a play like Waiting for Godot, which is a classic and has been done by hundreds of companies since it was written in the 50s, some of these interpretations of these other productions seem to sort of attach themselves, like crustaceans or whatever, onto the text of a play. And part of the job is to sort of clean away the text so that we can get down to a new and perhaps truer response to the material that Samuel Beckett hands us.
May one inquire where His Highness spent the evening?
In a ditch.
I like to make theater that when you go to, you recognize it as being part of our life, and that theater becomes a poetic distillation of the event of being alive in the world we know.
Whip!
That's what the jungle is about. That's what theater should be. That's what art is. That's what it is, that we go and we can have experiences that we would need a lifetime to get to know. And that's the purpose of art in community. It's not something high-flown. It's something really of the people. It's very grounded. That's my job as an actor, then as a director and a designer, is to try to bring forth the visions of these playwrights so that we can drink of this cup of poetic wisdom.
Now you can let him go.
When I was a sophomore in high school, we moved to Farmington, and we drove by one area, and there was a horseshoe lake with a little red barn sitting on it, and it was for sale. So I took down the telephone number. When I got home, I called him, and I told him I wanted to start a summer theater in the barn. And he said, "I'll let you do it, because I want to keep you kids off the streets." So that was when I began my fundraising. And I went around to everyone in town, got $10. The barn was 20 feet by 30 feet, so the stage was 10 by 20 with a burlap curtain, and then we had 20 folding chairs. And we did Dial M for Murder, we did The Miser by Moliere, we did Bell, Book and Candle, we did The Diary of Anne Frank. So I spent 2 years there in the summertime doing theater, which was really living in a dream for me. When I hear a play read, I have to be able to visualize the world of the play. If I can't visualize the world of the play as I'm hearing it read, it's not a play for me to do. This is just beginning here. This was a first pass. I find when I first try to put it into the hardcore of this dimensionality, I learn a lot. For example, in this one right here, I see now that this room should be 2 feet wider, that entry arch should be over about 3 feet. I'm known in my set design for a kind of veracity as far as detail is concerned. I like to capture the authentic feel of a world that a play lives in, not a representation of it, not something that looks like it, but something that really looks as if it's the world the characters live in. Because from my perspective, the characters in plays are as complete and real as you are, or as I am.
When we did the gin game, he said, "Oh, this will be easy. We just have a couple of folding chairs and a table." By the time we were done, there was this just glorious, evocative, old trash back porch of a downtrodden manor house that had been turned into an old folks' home. And I was sitting on the porch, and John Donahue walked by. He was going to place fake dead flies in the cobwebs on the porch for the set. And you go, now that's detail. I've known Bain Boehlke for 50 years, starting out doing work with a summer touring theater company called Theater on the Road.
Theater on the Road was just incredible. And it really was one of the most remarkable and liberating artistic experiences that I had, because we were just kids, you know, we were 21, 22, 23, and we were not part of the culture. We were out just doing plays. And we had a pickup, and we traveled a 5-state area, playing in every little town in a 5-state area. We stayed in every little flea bag hotel. We partied constantly, and nightly we would do this religious drama. And so there was, if you will, the sacred and the profane, I guess, as part of that movement toward maturity.
Bain is an intelligent, sensitive, imaginative artist. So what you get in a Bain Boehlke production isn't something that somebody else did.
The Jungle Theater began in a way that is really unusual. One day I was on a beach south of Puerto Vallarta, and the Jungle Theater came into my head. And I thought that was such a great idea for a theater. And then I saw this little poster in my mind's eye that had orange and yellow Jungle Theater, a midnight sky with white snowballs falling in it, 2 palm trees, and a blue and white telephone number at the bottom. I came back to Minneapolis. I was totally broke. I had a suitcase. I was 50 years old. I moved into a little apartment south of Lake Street on Lyndale. And then one day I walked around the corner, saw these 2 empty storefronts, and the Jungle Theater came back, the little poster. And I went in and talked to the jeweler, who had the 3rd of the 3 storefronts in this building. Asked him who owned the building. He said he did. I said, I'd like to start a theater in there called the Jungle Theater. What do you think of that? He said, I love the idea. Why don't you take the whole building for the summer? Because the neighborhood was depressed in those days. I really didn't know what was going on, but I knew something would happen. So that's how it began. And slowly this little ragtag group assembled, and we opened February 7th, 1991. And it was remarkable. I didn't expect anything of it. We had no plan. We had no business plan. We had nothing. But when Dial M for Murder opened, it got up on the shelf. And then we just kept on going. And this little theater there became just the new girl in town, you know. It was just like huge, well, unbelievable. In 1999, this building was renovated and we moved in here. And then, of course, after a few years, we realized that the neighborhood was changing and that this little theater had brought catalytic energy here. Everybody converging here at night and going to the restaurants and so forth, you know. And now it's an entertainment destination, a place where things that have a certain poetic veracity happen.
Let us not then speak ill of our generation. It is not any unhappier than its predecessors. Let us not speak well of it either. Let us not speak of it at all. It is true, the population has increased.
Try and walk.
Theater is a very challenging art form, but when it succeeds, it's just an amazing experience.
We've nothing more to do here.
Nor anywhere else.
Oh, go, don't go on like that. Tomorrow everything will be better.
How do you make that out?
Did you not hear what the child said?
No.
It is one of those great journeys in the subterranean avenues of the spirit. You really can ride around in there under the guise of a story. You know, the story is the hook, but then inside we go so many different places that are really inaccessible in a way to us, except perhaps through art.
Well, shall we go?
Yes. Let's go.
Minnesota Original is made possible by the State Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.